right, here we go. So thank you for joining us today. This is Amber from ExpressTruckTax. You guys have heard from me or of me, I'm sure, with ExpressTruckTax. And again, we specialize with the Form 2290, but that's not all we do. And so we like to make sure that our clients are aware of the other things that we do here at ExpressTruckTax. Just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview, ExpressTruckTax has been around since 2010. We've literally processed millions of forms. We have over 600,000 people who file their 2290 with us. We appreciate our clients so much. And one of the things that we think is so important is that when you have questions, we answer. And so, that's really what we find important here is our support team. We have support in both English and Spanish, and we love to be able to answer the phone anytime that you guys have questions. And so if you've been a client of ExpressTruckTax for any amount of time, you know that if you have a question, you give us a call and we are going to answer your call or give you a call right back. And so that is the way that it is with the other products that we have here at Span Enterprises as well. We are all located right here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And so if you have questions or anything you want to stop by, we always welcome you guys to stop by as well. But that's just a little bit about ExpressTruckTax and who we are. And as in the emails that I sent you, I told you about a sister product of ours called PayWow. And PayWow is a fully functional payroll service specifically built for the trucking industry. And that's the cool part, is that because we work with so many truckers, owner-operators, leased operators, owners of fleets, we built this payroll software specifically for the for the trucking industry. And so you guys have the tools and everything that you need to use in one sweet, awesome system called PayWow. So that is how these two are connected. I wanted to make sure that I kind of made that connection for you. My friends are here, Gavin and Andrea, and they are from the PayWow team, and they are the ones that have all of the knowledge about payroll, about year-end taxes, year-end reporting. And so Gavin is going to be the one presenting this webinar, and then Andrea is going to be answering all of your questions. And so again, if you have questions during the webinar, please feel free to use that question box, and we have somebody here who's ready to answer those questions. And then at the very end of the webinar, we're going to have a question and answer time as well. So we do want to make sure that we get all of your questions answered, and we will be sending out a follow-up email with more documents and more solutions for you. And so we are excited to do this with you and for you, and I hope that it's very helpful. Gavin, thank you for coming on and for talking with my trucker team, and I hope that it goes well.
Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. I am pleased and honored to be speaking with you today regarding your year end, and hoping that we can make it a much smoother transition into 2022 for you. Like she said, my name is Gavin. I'm with PayWow, and I've been supporting small business payroll for about 15 years now. So with that, let's go ahead and get on with it. So for preparing for your year end, so before the year end even gets here, a few tips for you would be review your employee and contractor information if you have both. This will help make sure that you have accurate 1099s and W-2s at the end of the year. So that way you don't have to make any corrections or take any additional expense for redoing those types of forms. If you're using PayWow, that's as easy as inviting them to use the My PayWow application, and your employees and contractors can make those changes on their own. So if they've gotten married, added dependents, their tax situation has changed in some form or fashion, they can update those forms there as well. Did you have any year-end or holiday bonuses, or are you planning them? Make sure that they're dated correctly. If they are dated into January, they'll show up on 2022's books. So make sure that it is dated as you want them to be. That is very important, and any taxes associated with those bonuses would also be paid based on that deposit schedule for the current year. Throughout the year, did you give your employees or contractors any handwritten checks? Maybe some outside of your normal operating procedures, maybe some cash, or this is a common one nowadays, is did you use an online payment app to get them money lickety-split for some odd reason? Maybe perhaps they were stranded on the road somewhere and they needed money quickly to get repairs, whatever. Make sure you record that in your payroll processing system. That would be very easily done in PayWow as well. Review your employee handbook and update it accordingly. This is a great time to look at all of that, make sure that you've handed that out to any of your new hires. If there are any changes that you've made, the pandemic has made lots of changes for businesses over the last almost 2 years now. Make sure you update that and get that out to everybody. If you don't have one, this is a fantastic time to implement a new handbook. Meet and speak with your tax advisor before the end of the year. It is worth taking 5 minutes to speak with your tax advisor, your CPA, before the end of the year to find out if there's any changes that you need to make going into 2022 or before 2021 ends. Let's go into a couple of things that you may discuss with your advisor. Based on how your year has gone thus far, should you make any large purchases before the end of the year? Any purchases that you make in 2021 would appear on 2021's tax records. Something you could ask them too is if you were to make a large purchase, such as a trailer or truck or something of that sort, should you look into Section 179, where you can depreciate the entire asset in the same year that you purchased it, rather than having to capitalize that throughout a period of time based on the type of asset. Your tax advisor obviously would be able to point you in the right direction and come up with a good strategy. And obviously you'd want to have that conversation before the end of the year, so you had time to act on their advice. Should you realize any uncollectibles or bad debts? This would be things that you have on the books that you anticipated being able to collect on, and throughout the course of the year or over years, perhaps, should you go ahead and realize that it's not going to happen and write that off your books. Similarly, should you expense any excess or expired inventory? This would be inventory that you're not able to move for whatever reason. If it has an expiration date and can't be used anymore, then that's one thing. Perhaps it's inventory that you just can't sell anymore. Should you donate it? You can get perhaps a tax deduction for that. Depending on your situation and how your business is set up, should you consider making an extra contribution to your retirement plan above and beyond what you had been throughout the year? Or perhaps you delayed making any contributions during the year to wait and see how everything panned out, which is probably a common scenario. And should you go ahead and make that retirement plan contribution now, because that defers certain taxes till a later date, and that can help you in the current year. And the last one is your current business structure the best for your business? What was good last year may not be ideal this year or coming into next year? This would be, again, a question for your tax advisor. There are many different types of business structures, each with their own unique taxation, and with that comes different advantages to each one. So something to explore. It's not something that you would necessarily want to just set it and forget it. That's something that you would want to review periodically to make sure that you're still using the best structure to suit your business needs. So at the year end, what can we do? Make sure your books are complete. I know that one probably seems a little bit obvious, but it isn't always. Not waiting till the 11th hour is often helpful and very much appreciated by your tax advisor oftentimes. And it helps you get a really good picture, and it can help determine the conversation you have with your tax advisor. Is it pressed just to hurry up and get things in, or can you have that consultative conversation to really plan and make a difference for the coming year? So having all your books done is very helpful in that scenario. Getting all your invoices paid to the contractors and suppliers in the current year will help. Confirming that all of your sales, so any loads that you've carried, anything that you've done throughout the year, make sure that it is dated correctly. It's kind of like we spoke at the beginning. The date determines what tax year it is credited to. So it's worth taking a moment just to double check, make sure that things are dated correctly. If you're unsure, so if you're doing your own books, which a lot of small businesses do, and you're not sure how to enter something into your accounting software or spreadsheet, whatever you're using, I recommend using an account, ask the accountant. It makes it really easy to for your accountant to pinpoint what needs to be addressed rather than having to look through everything and potentially miss some incorrect entries. So if you're not sure, go ahead and put it there, and then that makes it very easy and oftentimes saves you money, because time is money, and it's very, very helpful. So at the year end, you also have your payroll returns. We talked about making sure that all the information is accurate for your contractors and or employees, and this is where it pays off. When you're filing all of your year-end returns for your payroll, making sure all that's accurate makes it much smoother. And there are a lot of forms that are required at the end of the year, more so than at each quarter, because of the 1099s, 1096, W2, W3, listed all here. State withholdings, depending on the state that you're operating in and where your employees are located. If you're using a payroll system like PayWow, this is taken care of for you. So this is not quite a moot point, but this is something for you to review and make sure that your employees or contractors have access to it and everything is correct. Other than that, PayWow's got it covered for you. If not, then here's a list of the forms that you would be required to complete and submit for your payroll. And it's not completely exhaustive because it depends on which state you're in. If you're not using a payroll service yet and you have employees, I'd strongly recommend PayWow. Selfish plug. After all your accounting is entered, your returns are filed. Next, it's time to plan for success. Now that you've got all the numbers, compare them. Look at what the previous years looked like compared to this past year. Also review market conditions and your industry to make sure to see what others are doing. Perhaps you didn't do as badly or you did much better than others in your industry. So did you achieve your goals? This is where you would be able to find all that, make sure, compare what you did in those previous years, maybe the total sales versus the total expenses to achieve a certain profit or a certain growth, depending on what your goals are. If you did or didn't achieve your goals, why or why not? You can use the why to help determine what your next goal is. The pandemic threw a lot of people for a loop, a lot of businesses. But that being said, there are several industries that actually posted record gains because of the industry they're in. A lot of delivery and takeout food and those kinds of things. So it's important to recognize the entire industry and the entire economy as a whole to get a really clear idea of how you did and what you should expect. With all that, you can develop your new goal for the year. Base your goals on recent experiences and expectations, just like I mentioned before. And then sometimes almost back into it. What is required in order for you to accomplish that goal or goals? Will you need to increase your staffing to increase your total sales or increase the miles that you're covering over a course of time? If you're increasing your staffing and you're not using a payroll provider, should you consider one? The answer is yes, you should. Will you be purchasing new equipment? If so, how will you be doing that? Should you implement new tech to keep organized or increase efficiencies? Something like TMS, TruckLogix, may be very helpful here in keeping things together and keeping things efficient and organized. It depends on what your goals are. So those are some high-level tips to work towards to making a much smoother transition into the new year and completing this current year. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope it raises some questions and perhaps gives you some questions to ask your tax advisor in the very near future, I'd recommend, so that you can accomplish your goals for 2022. At this time, go ahead and if you have any questions, go ahead and post those in the Q&A section, and we'll do our best to get as many of them answered as we can.
Hi, I've had several people ask if they will receive a copy of the presentation. We are sending out a hard copy of this, something that you can download and have on file. So that will be going out probably tomorrow or the next day. And someone asked, is there a list of commonly overlooked deductions for the trucking industry? That would be a question for your tax advisor. And I've had several requests for CPAs that specialize in the trucking industry. I believe we do have the name of a firm, and that will be going out in the email with the presentation as well.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. I hope that you found this useful. I do want to let you all know that
we do have one more question, and this is from Shannon Smith. And Shannon, I'm not real sure what you're referring to, but Shannon is asking, do we offer a template for taxes? Would that be for payroll tax or for your business tax? What type of template are you looking for, Shannon?
And if it's payroll related, we can definitely help you with what forms would be required. And as far as business taxes, that would oftentimes depend on your corporate structure, and ultimately it would have to defer to your tax advisor to help you with that. Sometimes they have a short questionnaire that gives them a good idea of what to be looking for to help you. Not sure if that's what you're referring to or not.
Yes, she said business tax.
Okay. So that would depend on what type of business structure you have, sole proprietor, LLC, so on and so forth. And that would be a good question to open up with your tax advisor when you call them, because they're going to know that all the ins and outs of your business, not just the industry itself, but your particular business. Because although might be in the same industry, oftentimes businesses are run very, very differently. And so you'll have a very individual or unique tax picture. So I would suggest speaking to them. So if that was the last question, I do want to just let you all know that PayWow is a payroll software that is geared towards the trucking industry. And we enjoy helping each and every one of you that are already clients. And we would hope for more of you to join our team. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. You can contact us via phone. We're right here in Rock Hill, South Carolina, like Amber said earlier, or you can just shoot us an email at support@paywow.com.